All right. Welcome back to another episode of Trading Levels with Alighten. It's been a awful long time since I've posted a video to the channel. Sorry about that. I've been really focused on trying something completely different. If you've watched some of the previous videos, you know that I had 7 different time frames with 4 or 5 different signal generators on each of those time frames. And that was pretty successful. I was able to use that and had a pretty good system down. But I wanted to try something completely different. So the new system, I'm going to walk through how to set up a chart with this. But the new system is essentially all of those same signals on all of those same time frames, but all on one chart. So you can see we still have you can see the 5 minute, 15 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute, essentially all of the same signals. There are some new indicators on this chart that or new sub indicators or dependent indicators on the main indicator, but I'll walk through all that real quick. So let's take a look at, let's start with what indicators you're going to need in order to get started. So I made this post in our Discord, but let me grab the list here. Actually, let me see if I can grab the previous. Oh, maybe I can't. Hold on. Hold on. Here we go. All right, so and let me grab a new notepad window. Okay. Since I've simplified everything to a single chart, I'm able to use one of my smaller monitors that has a slightly higher resolution. So hopefully you guys can see the chart better than the previous setup, which was on the larger 45-inch TV. So this new indicator is called the Alighten Mirror. It's called Alighten Mirror V12. And that's the only indicator that you need on your chart. I've got some other indicators on the chart that I'll go over, but that's the only one you need on your chart. However, it has these dependent indicators or dependencies that you'll need to load into your indicators folder. And all of these are up on the GitHub. So if you want to take a screenshot right now, you can do that and then grab those specific indicators. And I'll have in the description of this video, I'll link directly to those files so you don't have to wade through all the previous indicators and all the other stuff that's up there on the GitHub. Cool. So you're going to need this volume profile indicator. And you're going to need these are new versions of the same pattern A, pattern B, pattern C, and pattern E signals. So you're going to need those indicators as well. And then I have this new indicator called multi-time frame retest that does something interesting, and I'll walk through that as well. So this, let's go ahead and jump right into creating a new chart. So I'm going to come over here and create a new chart. I'm still using gold. You can do 30-second or 1 minute. I'm going to limit this to 3 days. That looks pretty good. Come back over here. Actually get this control panel out of the way. Control E, get that out of the way. And I'm going to go to indicators. And so assuming you've loaded all of those indicators, so you have all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those indicators in your indicators folder. The only indicator that you'll need, well, let's start with the basics, right? So we like a couple of things. We always like the drawing tool tile. And we just want to make sure that it has the ruler. I think I set the default, so yeah, it has the ruler. Shrink this up a little bit. And I like the label remover. And I like my button panel. I think it's just this one. And we're going to need, we've got to set this to 24 hours. We're going to need the chart trader. And I still occasionally use some order flow tools, some other order flow tools to look at precise entries. But for this demonstration and setting up the chart, you don't really need it. So I am going to just use got a lot of development junk in here. The Alighten Mirror V12. Out of the box, it loads all of the underlying pattern indicators. It loads 400 bars of each of their respective time series. So the 1 hour time series gets 400 1 hour bars. 15-minute gets 400 15-minute bars, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and everything looks good here. I'm going to click OK. It is a really beefy, obviously it's got 35 different indicators under the hood loading because it's 7 indicators across what is it, 7 timeframes. So I think it's actually 35. So there's a couple indicators that aren't used across all time series. So, but a lot of indicators, a lot of data series on there. I'm gonna shrink the bar width down. Looks a little wonky. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice are these volume profile lines. This is the value area high, value area low, and POC. And this volume profile is for the previous bar. So this volume profile right here, put a square around it, is for this 1 hour section. So this 1 hour time period, this 1 hour window. And the reason for that is so that we can see it and take action on it while we're trading. It also acts as a bias filter. And if you go into the indicator, you'll see that there is, if you scroll down, enable higher time frame volume profile filter, and then show the levels. So you don't have to see the levels. You could just show it without. But I like to see the levels. It gives me a good idea of what's going on. Oops. And this is the first iteration. Well, it's the 12th iteration, but it's the first iteration that I've made public. Um, but it's the first kind of go at combining or consolidating and synchronizing all these different time series or data series and indicators into one single chart. So I'm sure that this won't be the final kind of, uh, I'm sure it'll evolve over time, I guess is the best way to put it, right? This is probably, we'll probably end up with some, uh, with some variations on this, and I'll keep you guys posted as I um, learn more and expand on this. Oh, there's one other indicator that I like to see on the chart, or that I like to use on the chart, which is this ergonomic charts. Kind of gives it that scrolling ability, that trading view style scrolling where you can zoom in just by using the scroll wheel. Okay, cool. So first thing is the volume profile from the previous bar. So this volume profile here is from this 1 hour time window. This volume profile here is from this 1 hour time window, and so forth. Now it sets a bias. That indicator sets a bias. So +1, +2, -1, -2. And depending on what the bias is, it will filter the pattern A, B, C, and E signals in that direction. So you can see here, this volume profile closed below this 1 hour bar here closed below its POC. So that's why this 1 hour time window here is negative, and you get this um, signal here, this short signal. So it's filtering out all the long signals, and you're only getting the short signals. Now this means you miss some signals, but it also means that it makes the signals, the confusion that can happen when signals are coming in from all directions, and it's hard to decipher what is an effective signal. This will kind of simplify things for you, and gives you the most likely chance of success. So we're going to take a look at that and how that plays out. So you can see this, if the volume or the POC from the previous window here was all the way down here, and price closed above it, closed up here, it actually closed above its value area high. So this had a strong bias of +2. And so we get this long signal here, and that went up for 180 ticks, almost 200 ticks. So those are the kind of signals that we're looking at. You do get some noise, so this is a good, valid signal, and it really went right off that previous bar's POC. So this is a good signal that went down, um, some 80 ticks, or actually 100 ticks. However, as you play with this, you'll discover some things, right? You'll discover that you don't want to take a signal short, that you have to put the stop too high above the level, that the signal level. So in this case, if we played it directly off use this as the level and went short there, that's fine. But if you waited until the end of the bar, as you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to wait. And this, I talked about this in some of my previous videos. You really, for the most part, you want to wait until the whole signal is complete to make sure that it's a valid signal, and then you take it short. So normally I would take this right around here and take it down here. But when you enter on this trade, you have to put your stop back above the highest point within that signal time frame, that within that signal window. So this would screw up your R to R, right? You would have to put your stop back up here. Like say you entered down here, you would take this much heat, your stop would be back here, and you would get this. So you would have essentially a 1-to-1 R to R there. which isn't great. So you're looking for, above a 60% win rate, and you're looking for a better than 1-to-1 R-to-R. So that is the volume profile, how it filters. If you've watched some of the previous filter videos, you know how the signals work. I have another chart up here that kind of shows, let me see if I can shrink this down a little. So this is the 30-minute chart with the previous way the levels were drawn, and this is how we used to look at the levels. And you can see here at 5:30 there was a, what is this? There was a pattern E short, and then at 4:30 there was a pattern C, I believe that is pattern C short. So if we scroll over here, and we'll zoom in a little, we can see this level here is our 5:30 signal short. So pattern E ends at 5:30, and then we can see over here, we can see our pattern C at from 4 to 4:30. So this is the same, it's the exact same signals that we used to see on all of the different time frame charts, but we're seeing now filtered, and we're seeing on uh, on just one chart. So we, in the past, what we had was the exact same thing but with multiple charts up. We had 7 different time frames up. So that's how the signals are translated and synced over to your 1-minute chart. You can also do this on the 30-second. I just happen to like the 1 minute for now. It's a little easier to play with. So what I'm going to do now is I have played this day, but I played it a long time ago, and I was in the process of playing it just now. So I'm going to play this day again. Actually, I have 2 copies up, so I'm going to go back to my original copy. So same exact chart setup. I haven't played the rest of this day in probably a couple days, so let's see how it goes. I'm going to play at 8 times speed. This is from the 18th. This is from last week on Wednesday. So we're only going to get long signals here because the bias is long. What I really want to see are, there are certain, pause it, there are certain signals that are very good, right, that are really strong, and they're obvious. So I want to point out some of those. Well, we'll play the day, but I want to point out some of those really strong signals that are quite obvious. So there are some like this, for example, where you get a small pattern B that transitions, closes below a pattern, a 15-minute pattern A, pattern B, and you see how we get multiple signals here with a small one. We also wick the 4-hour signal, and we begin this process of going lower. Then we get this, oh, I didn't talk about the gain loss, this new level that I added to the chart. But you can see how obvious this signal is here. You can also see how obvious this signal is here. So you get these stacked signals on multiple time frames, and those are a pretty good indicator, usually spread out a little, and usually with a smaller time frame towards the top going through a bigger time frame below it. And you'll see that pretty frequently, pretty regularly. You'll see that like right here, this drops down, we get a small time frame, a 5-minute and a 10-minute, which crosses over up through a 30-minute. And then again, we get some stacked signals in the same direction here. So there are obvious signals that, and you'll, as you play this, you'll learn them. You get a similar thing here. You get this 5-minute stacked going through a 15-minute, going through a 30-minute. Up here, we just wick a 30-minute. So you get a couple of different trades off of that. And what you want to do is wait until it's obvious, right? I know that sounds counterintuitive, but some signals are just more obvious than others. It's very rare that I'll take just a 5-minute signal by itself. I could almost remove those, except for that I like to see them when the signals stack up, like I showed you. I do want to talk real quickly, I promise I'll hit play soon, about these new levels that I've created called gain loss, trend start down, trend start, and trend start up. These are a little bit confusing. Let me see if I have, let me see if I can add them to the chart. I am going to actually show them on the 30-minute chart. So let me just remove that. And I'm going to add the levels multi-time frame retest. Cool. Okay. So on the 30-minute chart, let's see what this, let's see, let's add it to the, let's change this to a 60 actually. Okay, here's a better example. So on the 60-minute chart, we have an initial, we had a trend start up here. And what is a trend start up? It's where the zigzag, it's a pivot low where price makes a new high here. So price didn't make a new high on this bar, but so we had a pivot low here, which was I confirmed when this price closed and made a new high here. That created a trend start here, this dashed blue line. Now, price closed below that line. Well, then price came up here, and then we had a pivot high that created this trend start down. So this is a trend start up because it's beginning the uptrend, and this is a trend start down. It's beginning the downtrend, the purple. Now, when price closed below this level, this is still the trend start up one. But then price created, but then we had this second pivot down. And then on this next bar, it turned this into trend start one. And this level, the previous trend start one, now becomes trend start two and becomes dashed. So this one is now solid. This is our trend start one. And this is now dashed. This is our, sorry, trend start up one. And this is trend start up two. So you can see how these different levels move and how they can respond to each other. Usually after one is made, you might see that these, this is a bad example because price dropped out of the sky. But usually there'll be a reaction to these levels. Like you kind of see it here. It held that level and then actually went up a little bit before finally continuing down. So let's take a look at that. So that trend start up was at 1 o'clock. So let's bring that chart back over here. And we see we have that 60-minute trend start up one. And we're cruising back to 1 o'clock. And here we go. So here is where that 1 hour trend start up one was located. Right here. Now it didn't become a trend start up one until after the 1 hour bar made a new high at what is that? At 2 o'clock. So right here, when this bar closed at 2, when the 1 hour bar closed at 2 o'clock, that's when this line appeared as our trend start one. You can see how price played off of that trend start one. So price came back down. We had this big spike down. And then we had this level here. So these gained lost trend start ups and trend start downs are extremely important. They form only after the trend start is confirmed, so they're not always present, immediately. So like at 1 o'clock, this level was not here yet, but at 2 o'clock it was, and then it came back down. So over here, this trend start was visible on the chart. So what I'm looking for a lot of times are these obvious stacked signals, like I said, especially around volume profile levels, but also around these trend start levels, either a trend start up or a trend start down. Hopefully that makes sense. So if I see something like this right below a trend start, I am taking this all day, these stacked levels here. If I see something like this, I might not take this because it's trading directly into a one, it's just a 5-minute signal. It's not anything concrete. I might not take this just because it's at the end of the hour and you don't know exactly what's going to happen at the end of that hour. I might not take this because it's only a 5-minute signal. I'll definitely take this because it's a stacked signal and it's right at the value area high. So moving forward from the value area high, I really like this signal here, bouncing off that trend start up. And then I really like this giant wick here, wicking that trend start up and telling me that this thing is about to fall out of the sky. So really good signal there. Then we have this kind of, because we were crossing down into new territory that we hadn't touched in quite some time. There's not a lot of action here, not a lot of signals, but that's okay. Just be patient. You'll get the signals. Or you can, if you really want to, you can play off of like, this is a pretty good, might take that when it wicks the value area low of the previous bar there. I might take that for sure. And everything else, I probably wouldn't touch. This one I might take off of here, or I might just skip this one because, like as I said, I don't want to put my stop that far back. But that's about. I think that's all the information on the indicator itself, and that's included. You can change this. That's part of the mirror indicator. Is it's referencing that. I only have the 60-minute gain loss showing, but you can switch this out. You can show fewer levels. You could skip the 5-minute level and just trade and do something like that to kind of change your chart up a little bit. Some people have just done this and taken everything else off and then looked at that, and that actually, or something like this to this effect. But give it a try. Let me know what you guys find that you like the best. I like to see everything and then just practice not taking every trade. You don't always have to remind myself all the time. You don't have to always be in a trade, right? You have to. Part of this game is being patient and waiting for the right signals. Anyway, I've talked too much. I'm going to hit play and let's try to see if we can find a couple of trades at 8 times speed on the 18th. And let's make this a little bigger so we can see it. So that's a potential trade right there off of that level. Up to you. I'm not a huge fan when things are making lows. I'm not really in the business of playing that reversal, if that makes sense. Especially knowing that we just took this massive drop. You know, and you can see the new volume profile coming in. And this, again, this is the volume profile from this window. So let's see what we get. You can change the volume profile time frame to 30 minutes or whatever you want. I've found that an hour is probably the best. We've got kind of a lonely signal here. Wait till the end of the bar. I'm heading up. I probably wouldn't take this. I'm going to wait till I have a trade with more confidence. Not a huge fan of the 5-minute signal by itself. Now, this is an interesting story. Sometimes we get these doubles, and they end up kind of where you get 2 5-minute signals in a row. Ooh, now we've got some stack signals. I'm liking this a little bit more. But let's wait until the end of the 5-minute bar and see what it's doing. Could continue to go up. If we want to clear out, notice prices above these levels. We want to clear it out. We can hit the clear invalid. Oops, and that did not clear. It'll automatically clear. Boom. If price is above it, above the level, it will auto clear that out. Kind of cleans up the charts. Interesting. This is almost like a double top here, but I'll give this a minute. Hopefully I find a trade. It is kind of sparse on this day. This might have been a good trade right here. Kind of making a higher low and wicking off that. Ooh, I like this. Let's see what happens. We'll give it some time to form. And just like before, we wait until the whole signal is complete to make sure that this becomes valid. Oh, not valid. Our bias is still short. Probably wouldn't take that. Let's see if we get something here. And zoom in a little for you guys. Whoa, a little too zoomed. Got a nice one here. We're back up at around this level, previous POC. Give this some time. Oof, I do not like this. This is one of the, oh, if it did cross down, it doesn't look like it will. But if this did cross down, I would not take it because my stop would have to go all the way up here. But it's an invalid signal, so we'll just keep waiting. They'll come. They always come. Okay, now our trend start up has shifted to down here. I'm guessing our bias is long again, so it's a little unfortunate. Let's see if we get a signal up. Still have all this room up here. After a big drop like that, I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? Still looking for a long. Ooh, that looks good. Wicking the level. I don't know. We're a little stretched out, I guess. Zoom in a little. Would like to see a signal. right at that level. Oh, I picked a bad place to start. Start market replay. That's all right. We'll get a signal. Teaching us patience. Hmm. Probably should have taken that, but it's only an E, a 5 minute. Oh, not a bad signal. There might be something there. I haven't found all of my, oh my goodness. I haven't found all of my favorite trades yet. There might be something to crossing immediately above and getting a signal above the value area high, or a signal short immediately above the or below the value area low. There might be something to that. That was actually probably a pretty valid trade because of the proximity to the level. Definitely don't like that. Another good one. What is that? Is that a just about 100 ticks? As you can see, it seems to be a recurring theme, wicking off the POC. Right here, right here, right here, right here. I'm guessing the POC is under here. Cruising along here, almost done with another hour. Missed about $5,000 in trades there. That's okay. And some of you may combine this with your own indicators. That can make it even more effective to you. It might make sense to look at combining some of these levels with GEX. I know that there is you can create a free, I think it's a Schwab account, and then you can build out. Oh look, ooh, this looks very promising. We get those stacked levels. Oh, it's headed back up. I'm gonna let this thing rip. I'm gonna put it right down on the right above that trend start up. Let's see what happens. This is at 8 times speed. Break even plus. You can see what I mean by that's just totally obvious, right? You get these stacked 5-minute immediately crosses below. Probably should have taken profits at 100. Oh, there it is. We're there again. But just for the sake of playing around, I'm gonna let it run its course. Maybe even add to it there. Let's see what happens at the end of this 5-minute. That was a pretty late ad. Oh, lame. I did not play that well. Let's see what happens here. We've got that double. Let's see what happens. Oh, I totally screwed up that last one. It's okay. I like this wick. I like the fact that it broke below that level. It's coming down. I probably should have taken my $3,000. That's 100 ticks before, but let's see what happens here. We're all learning how best to use this together. Oh man, that's great. Yeah, it's interesting to decide when to add. Boom, and there we go. So that's it. That's should have been $6,000, but instead it was only 3 contracts, about a little less than $3,000 there. So you get the idea. This is the obvious one. And then this is kind of obvious here with the where it came back up and just wicked that same level and immediately closed below here. And then we look at this, we get the wick, we get this one. This is actually an even better trade because we get the wick of the value area low along with the signal right there. And then the stacked signal right there. So definitely probably should have added to it there. Probably should have taken my 100 ticks here, taken another 100 ticks there. But you can see how it bounced right off this this trend start up. Look, and immediately went back up another 40 ticks. So, and again, I'm playing this at 8 times speed. But that's what I wanted to show you guys. Look out for the obvious trades, right around the value, the volume profile levels, signals, stacked signals, and then see what works best for you and let me know. If you guys have any questions or comments, definitely hit me up on Discord or hit me up in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next one.